Hi, and welcome to the Natural PC Network. Thank you for joining today's telecast on our network. We provide information and worthy news from worthy people inside our network. Sit back, listen up, and enjoy the conversation. And now, let's welcome our host, L. Thomas Faison.
Hey, and welcome to the Natural PC Network. I'm your host, L. Thomas Faison, and our guest today is the 2020 INBF Carolina Natural PC Women's Bodybuilding Overall Champion. Let's say hello to Erin Fergus. Hey, Erin, what's going on?
Hi, everyone.
How's everything going today?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, hey, welcome to our post-show conversation.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. So, first of all, let me say congratulations to your victory in 2020, October 24th, 2020 in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not a problem. So, yeah, your physique, it really transformed for the show. How impressed were you with your results?
I was really impressed because, I think every year just getting better and better is one of the names of the game. Like, I know a lot of people have different mottos that they use, but me versus me really is one of the ones that I follow. And so especially having the longest prep ever, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, it was really nice to see a product that was like, okay, it was worth going through all this to see me look like this.
Absolutely. You really looked amazing. So yeah, let's talk about that. From your perspective, what was it like competing in 2020?
I think it really separated who does this sport because they love the daily part of it. And for me, it really is the process and the journey and not so much the destination. So I really think that anyone who made it to the finish line really was a winner for this type of season. But I actually started prep only about 3 weeks before COVID really hit. So, I had a conversation with myself of like, 3 weeks is nothing. Like I think I was doing, 5 minutes on the elliptical was the only cardio I was doing, and I hadn't really changed my diet that much. So it was like, I could quit now and it would be no big deal whatsoever. But one of my other mottos that I use in my preps is, what would happen if you didn't quit? And that's kind of like, I just want to see, like, if I just don't quit, if I just keep going, what'll happen? And so that to me was more of a like, okay, I have started this. I'm going to finish it, even if there's no stage, even if I just end up taking pictures of myself and posting them, that's, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens.
Yeah. And I really enjoy that positive affirmation. One of the things I like talking to people, especially working with clients and patients, is that those affirmations you really have to say out loud. So that really makes a lot of sense. So when the world shut down, it sounds like you were just starting your contest prep mode. And I think seeing it through, we really were over ecstatic about you being a part of our event, and it really showed when you were on stage, and you really looked amazing. So during your preparation for the show, how did you stay focused and driven throughout the entire prep?
Okay, so already I had some gym equipment at home just from having been a personal trainer before I got into teaching fitness at the community college at Wake Tech. And so I had some equipment. And so basically when I found out my main gym was going to close, I scrambled and was like, okay, what can I do? I also had a membership at an Anytime Fitness, and they were going to stay open for like an extra week. So I went to them for like an extra week. They actually shut down one day at 8 a.m.
Okay.
So I made sure I was there at like 6 a.m. and I was there until they closed the door. There were like 3 or 4 of us there, and they just kind of pushed us out the door and we're like, all right, we're closed now, but it was cool to be a part of that, because it's like, those are the type of decisions that you have to make sometimes to get to the goal. But the day that I found out my gym was shutting down, I got on Walmart.com, Dick's Sporting Goods, and I bought whatever else I thought that I might need. And then I just took that day to lay out all my equipment, and I just tried to envision, like, how am I going to do this? Because it really was mostly dumbbells. But one of the coolest things that I did, I'd gotten them maybe like a year ago. I got 2 MAG grips, which stands for Maximum Advantage Grip. And they're like attachments you would use for rowing and lat pull downs. So I took my pull-up bar. I had the thick resistance bands that you use for assisted pull-ups. And I was able to basically make a lat pull down machine using those grips and the bands. And then I was able to wrap my bands around my elliptical, because I have elliptical in the garage, and made like a standing row machine doing that. And I used my piano bench for all my bench work, which is so short that you can't have your hips and your head supported at the same time. So then I would set a bar stool next to it.
Right.
Basically, like, I just call it exercise engineering. It's like, what can I rig up that's not going to hurt me, but I can still get done what I want to get done? But the main thing in my mind was, I didn't think about it as, if I don't keep training, I'm going to be bailing out on this prep. I thought about it as, if I don't keep training hard enough to like deliver the load that my muscles are used to, I will give up what I've worked for since 2013.
Gotcha.
So I framed it in that way for myself, because that was a lot easier to commit to than just saying, oh, I'm 3 weeks into prep. But I just thought, you know what, I've worked really hard since 2013 to add some muscle. I don't want COVID to take it away. So
I got you. You sound like a modern day MacGyver over there.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that is part of what made it interesting, was like, what can I rig up today? And then I have a little Bluetooth speaker that has like flashing lights and stuff on it. And so I would, just use that for music, and that made it a little more fun and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, it was hard. Like, it was definitely, there were days that I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this. Like, especially leg days, to try to do leg days with only dumbbells, you got to balance on your shoulders.
Sure.
It's just, I can't believe, when I look back on it, I'm like, I cannot believe I did that.
Right. But. So you talked about 2013. Talk to us about prep and competition at your first show.
Okay, so my first show, so I competed in running and triathlon from probably about 2005 to maybe like 2010, 2011. And then I just kept getting too many knee and foot problems, and I couldn't keep up with that running. I also lived in Pensacola, Florida at the time, where triathlon was really big. And then I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, to take a job teaching at a community college. And one of my coworkers was into bodybuilding. And so he was just like, you need to try it. And I thought, this is great, because I don't have a competitive outlet right now. And I actually grew up like in high school. I would read Muscle and Fitness Hers magazine, and I would like have my protein bar in my lunchbox and stuff. Because I first started lifting weights, like little tiny weights, when I was like 13, because I played sports in high school. But I always thought muscle looked awesome. And then it was kind of like, okay, this is my chance to finally see like what would happen if I train like a bodybuilder and like actually train with heavy weights and like really go for it. And I just had this delusional like, oh, I'm already fit, and so I'll just prep for 14 weeks. I had no coach, no clue. It was a disaster. And I mean, even like the day before, I was like, what is all this stuff with people not drinking water? Like, that sounds so dangerous. I would never do that. And then I'm like, oh, well, my friend who just started competing, I know she went out the night before and ate like a bunch of French fries and stuff. So my parents came to town, and we had Mexican food the night before, eating all these tortilla chips. And so I woke up like holding so much water, and tried to do the tan myself. It was nowhere close to dark enough. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors. So there were 6 people in my class. I also did figure division, because we didn't really have as much to choose from back then. There wasn't really, they did have women's bodybuilding, but it just seemed like it was the popular thing to do figure. So I was like, okay, I'll try that one. And so there were 6 of us in the class, and the top 5 got awards. And there I was standing backstage like, wait, my number didn't get called. So that's why like my story is really a testament to not giving up, because I mean, I really did have a horrible performance the first try, and it was a work my way up from the bottom, because if I remember correctly, the next year it was like next to last place, and then it was like somewhere in the middle, and then just like closer and closer. Then we got second place, and then like eventually a first place, but it's a long journey.
That's definitely a true testament to your just dedication to the sport. I really enjoy that backstory about you competing. What about you getting into health and fitness? How did you get into health and fitness?
Honestly, I mean, I was a pretty active kid. When I was 10, I started doing dance and gymnastics. and playing a couple different sports. I played basketball and softball. So I made the basketball team in junior high. And so when we're kind of we had basketball and volleyball, and we were different parts of our season.
Okay.
They wanted us to do weight training. So I was able to do weight training with, our coach. And that was also the same time that Taibo was really big. So I would do Taibo on the VHS. And then we also had a total gym in my parents' sunroom. So I used the total gym. Yeah. So I had my little weights and I, would do my thing. And I just thought it was so fun, and I had to do a lot of exercise and stuff for dance too. And then I made the high school dance team, and, I just really enjoyed exercising. So then I went to college for exercise science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So that made sense.
Now you have a brother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so was your brother into health and fitness kind of like you, or?
He was into sports. He played soccer.
Okay. His
whole life. So I was around soccer as well, even though I didn't play. And he actually coaches soccer now.
Okay.
And he did some refereeing and coaching. So.
Right. Great. So how long have you been a member with the WNBF, the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation?
Well, I think the first show that I ever did that was INBF was actually in Texas doing Fit Body in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had done a lot of shows there was a show in Spartanburg, South Carolina. That was the show that I did, the very first one. It wasn't affiliated with any federation for a while. So
it was unaffiliated?
Unaffiliated. I had done that one the most. So I didn't really even know that much about the different federations when I first was getting into it. And then I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I had done Fit Body in 2014, and then I didn't really see any shows that had it, but I really enjoyed Fit Body. So then I saw the show in Sumter in 2017. So because I was living in Greenville, South Carolina at the time, and that was close. And I saw that, and I was like, I definitely want at least one more chance to do Fit Body, because I thought it was really cool. So yeah, so did that show, wearing the tank top for it right now. I'm actually still in touch with several of the girls that I met at that show, which has been really nice, and did the show on Earth Day in 2017 and won and got my pro card.
Got your pro card, WNBF. So you're a WNBF Fit Body Pro, is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, the last time I got to compete with that was in 2018. I was planning to potentially go to Worlds and stuff for 2020, and of course, just that didn't happen. I had registered for a show in Washington State and was really hoping that one was going to go, just because the West Coast seemed to be a little more open.
Right.
That one got canceled. So, yeah, I mean, the hope would be to get to go to Worlds in 2021. I did go to Worlds in 2018, and it was such a cool experience. In the athlete meeting, I sat next to someone who was from the Faroe Islands, and I thought that I was pretty cultured, but I had never heard of that country. So I'm like, This is so cool. There's so many international athletes that I just met someone from a place that I've never even heard of.
And that's one of the great things that I really enjoy about the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation, is that we don't get to compete and communicate with people just in our country and U.S. territories, but we get to compete with people from really all over the world.
And I think in my class in Fit Body, I want to say we had at least 3 countries that were represented just in that class, maybe more. But
that's fantastic. So you are a WNBF Pro Fit Body. However, you competed in our show, October 24th, 2020, as a amateur, as a bodybuilder, but not just a bodybuilder, a vegan bodybuilder.
A vegan bodybuilder, yeah.
So how long you been a vegan?
I have been vegan since the same day that I said I want to be a bodybuilder, which is really cool. So that date was March 1st, 2013. And I was a vegetarian for a solid 12 years before that. So I'm 37 now, and I went vegetarian when I was 17. So I've been, 20 years at least a vegetarian.
Wow.
Not vegan. So that's been cool, because I just felt like I was already really close to being like a full vegan. And once I said I want to try something different, I want to try a different sport, then I thought, what better way to put 2 things together than to just try it. And then I can just always say, anything that I had changed about my body was all on plants. And
Right.
that's been, throughout this entire journey, that has been the thing that's been more motivating than anything. I don't think that I would be at the place where I'm at. I don't think I would have stayed with the sport as long as I have if it wasn't for that kind of driving force. Because when I first started, my body was not impressive. I'll be the first to say that. And so, it was very like, oh, vegan, whatever, and like, where, like, of course, where do you get your protein? But like in a very sarcastic way. And now it's like, I think it was probably maybe like 3 or 4 years ago that it switched from being the like condescending comments to the like,
Sure.
whoa, wait, I need to learn more about this, like, because obviously it works for you. So like, I need to find out what you're doing. And so that's been really cool. And I don't think there's been any shows that I've been to where I haven't had some conversation with someone about it, where they'll just say something like, I don't like whey protein, or I'm tired of eating fish. What can I do? And so it's pretty cool.
Wow. So it almost sounds like you're the go-to person now for vegan bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
How many people?
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm the first vegan to be a Fit Body Pro, but I'm not the only. There are others who have done it since me, which is very cool. And I actually, if I had done the show in Washington State, I believe I would have been able to go against the other one, which, I would say more with than against, but like get a chance to finally meet another person who's a vegan Fit Body Pro who I'm connected with on social media. So that would have been really fun to have both of us on stage.
Sure. And so tell us, what line of work are you in? I know you mentioned something about being a professor at Weight Tech. Tell us about your title.
So my official title is Associate Department Head of Health and Fitness Science. So I basically an administrator and a faculty member. So I do teach courses, but I also help run the department. So I do our assessment and, just helping my department head with all the stuff that we have to do to run the whole thing, which it's a lot more than you think. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff to make a college work, but.
Sure. And you've basically kind of been in the university setting for quite some time, because I know you've lived in the states of Alabama and Florida and now North Carolina. So has that career path followed you all the way through?
So I was working just in the fitness industry when I was in Florida. Out of college, I got my master's in exercise science. I really, really wanted to be a fitness director at a university, but I couldn't get there. So I was started at the YMCA, which was incredibly fun. And that worked really well for getting into triathlon and like doing all that stuff. So I was a fitness director, a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and I really wanted to so I did that like full-time fitness director, and then I went to part-time personal training and group fitness, and then part-time teaching at the community college in Pensacola. And I started with a running class, which also worked really well because I was running races at the time. And then I just kind of got more and more classes, but I didn't have like a full-time, there was nowhere to grow the career. So basically I just had to look for a full-time teaching job wherever I could get one. And that ended up being Greenville, South Carolina. And that was 8 years ago. So I've been in the community college teaching for 8 years now.
Well, we are so excited to have you in the great state of North Carolina, right? Yeah. So in the university setting, I'm sure you've had some conversations with the young ladies. What kind of conversations do you have with them, the young ladies that is, who are fearful or afraid about putting on muscle?
Well, so I've had a lot of these conversations over my whole fitness career, because it's crazy to me how many people still, are afraid of weight training. And so I try to explain to them the difference between being squishy, because it's a term that people can relate to, right? So you try to like think of terminology that people can relate to, but being like squishy versus being dense and compact. And you try to explain to people that, especially when you can show bodybuilding photos like side by side, where you're like, look, I'm the same weight in these two pictures, but look at like how much better I look in this picture where I have more muscle, that type of thing. And so, and I've lived it too with being like a hardcore cardio bunny when I was an endurance athlete. My body never changed because I just do all this cardio and it doesn't actually change your physique. And then I start heavy weight training and I'm like, wow, in 14 weeks, I've changed my body more dramatically than I have over years of doing cardio.
Right.
So I try to tell them that, to actually put any type of shape to your body, the way that you want to shape it, you have to do that with muscle tissue. And, it's just going to make you more dense and compact. And, don't worry about the scale weight as much as like how you feel, how you look, how your clothes feel. And then it's just so much easier to live your life having some strength too.
Right.
Like put the suitcase up above the thing in the airplane and, do all the things you got to do to take care of yourself. And it's really empowering. So that's a big thing. And then what was really fun is when I first took my job at Wake Tech, I had to teach a class at the, what do they call it? Like the career academy or the early college. So it was like 15 and 16-year-olds. And it was all girls except one boy. But all the girls, after they met me, they were like, you know what? I want to be more like you when I grow up. Like I want to have muscle and strong. And I thought that was amazing for 15 and 16-year-old girls, because typically that age group just wants to be skinny or whatever. So that was really cool to see them, be in that mindset of like, be strong, be powerful.
That's awesome. It really sounds like you're owning your role right now, and you're giving phenomenal advice. I really enjoy that, Erin. So when you were getting into competition, who were some of the people or individuals that you were watching or followed when you started really getting into competing?
So my biggest one was Dana Bailey. And even though she doesn't compete anymore, I feel like she's always going to be the people's champ, because she was the first Miss Olympia women's physique. I used to have the haircut like her. Gotcha. And I would try to compare myself to her a little bit, because we're the same age, we're the same height, we had the same hair, so I was like, all right, well, I'll just be the like slightly smaller vegan version of Dana Bailey. But I just loved her. I loved her physique. I thought it just looked so balanced, and I loved that she was an athlete. She played soccer at the college level, and I just thought that she was I think the way that she carries herself is awesome. She's always been a good sport. Even when her title was taken away, she still was a great sport about it. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that like good sportsmanship means a lot to me. And, I think to everybody, to be a good role model, be gracious when you don't win and enjoy the process and things like that.
Yeah. So with competition, why was it important for you to be a drug-free competitor?
I just feel like I want to see where I can take my body, also being as healthy as I can be in the process. Like I really believe that nothing that's worthwhile having comes quickly, so therefore I want to see exactly what I can do, drug-free. I want to stay as feminine as possible too. I don't want to mess up, anything like that, and definitely don't want to mess up my health. And, I do have a small network of friends that are also very committed to that. So it's like, I've been asked before, like if I've felt the pressure to not be natural, and never once have I felt pressured to do that, because, to each their own. Like other people that choose to do that, that's fine for them, but it's never interested me. And I'm happy to have a lot of friends who feel the same way.
That's great, Erin. That's really great. So, hey, what's next?
So I am almost 2 weeks into prep for the year. So it's just funny because, my body's responding quickly to that, because I was not really following any type of meal plan for the last 2 months. So my body's like, oh, hey, we're eating clean again. This is nice. And the fat's going to just fall off real quick. But I'm still kind of looking at the calendar for the fall. Definitely looking to compete sometime in the September to November timeframe. Like I said, it would be great to go to Worlds again.
Yes.
I'm just looking forward to having some actual stages, so to have that whole experience again, the way that it used to be, the way that we like it to be. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what I think about fit body versus bodybuilding. Still trying to find where do I think my physique fits in the best, and which division would I enjoy doing more? Because I hadn't done bodybuilding since 2015. And back when I first had done it, I just didn't have enough muscle to make the poses look, good. And the more I practiced the poses for bodybuilding, I'm like, this is amazing. I love the way it looks. I feel like it looks so artistic and feminine and powerful, and my legs have improved a lot, and it was nice to be able to show them off more.
Yes.
Like some of the other divisions. So So I really would be interested to see where I could take the bodybuilding division.
Gotcha. Well, let me just say, as a promoter, we would love to see you back on our stage in October. October 2nd, 2022, by the way. But hey, this conversation's been really good. I really enjoy the way you just kind of just put your heart really into the conversation that we've had today. But I'm going to let you have the last word.
Last word. Oh boy. I would say, I guess if I was to give advice for, because there's a lot of people that'll say like, I want to compete, what should I do? And I think that, being vegan is a big part of me, keeping with what I'm doing, but mental training is a huge, huge part of what I do. And I think a lot of people have not cultivated discipline in their lives. And then they try to get into this sport and it's just like crazy. And those of us who are committed to it, it's because we already have discipline and we just need something to keep us striving for that. So I think that my biggest mental thing is I remind myself that I'm one of many, many people who compete. I'm not special. I'm just one of many people who compete, and no one's forcing me to compete. No one's paying me to compete, that's for sure. But if I stop competing, the world's going to continue without me. It's not going to be this earth-shattering, like suddenly there's no more bodybuilding because I'm not competing. The world's going to move on. And I also remind myself that there's a lot of other people that have harder situations than I do, and they're still training harder.
Sure.
So I think it's if you look at it as a very humbling, like the world does not revolve around you during prep. Like you have to still integrate the rest of your life and things like that. I think that's huge because a lot of people try to, just make it too dramatic, like that their prep is the most important thing that's happening in the world. And it's just not like that. So, I just remind myself that I do this because I feel like my body has so much more potential to keep going and I want to see where that goes. But I also am going to stop the day that it's not fun for me.
Gotcha.
People are like, what else do you do for fun? It's like, well, my training is fun. Like it really is fun to set goals and go after them. And I don't do it because I'm forcing myself. I do it because my body allows me to do it and I'm able to do it. And so therefore, I think if you just keep that positive mindset of like, I get to do this. This is a privilege to be able to train like this, to be able to push my body to that point, and just always keep it positive. That's important.
Outstanding. Sound advice, Erin. Erin, we want to thank you for your time and for your dedication to natural bodybuilding.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2020 INBF Carolina Natural PC Women's Bodybuilding Overall Champion, Erin Fergus. Until next time, take care, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Natural PC Network. If you've enjoyed this conversation, be sure to share it with your friends and family. You can join our community at Natural PC on Instagram and connect with us by email, info@naturalpc.org. Thank you for making us part of your day and for listening. Until next time, be good.